You know, most elderly people drink water in a way that quietly harms their health. You might think, how complicated could drinking water be? But as we age, the way our bodies handle hydration changes in subtle yet powerful ways. What used to work in your 40s or 50s might now be quietly putting strain on your heart, kidneys, or digestive system, and you won't always feel it right away. That's what makes it so surprising. In this video, we're going to uncover 6 common water drinking habits that nearly every older adult falls into, but absolutely shouldn't. These habits seem harmless, even routine, but once you understand the science and the impact, you may never look at a glass of water the same way again. Stay tuned through the end, because not only will you learn what to stop doing, you'll also understand why it matters so much more now than it ever did before. If you're between 60 and 80 and want to stay sharp, strong, and steady, these water habits are something you cannot afford to ignore. Now let's get started. Number 1, drinking only when you feel thirsty. One of the most widespread and misleading habits among older adults is waiting until you feel thirsty to drink water. At first glance, it sounds reasonable. Your body signals thirst, so you drink. Simple, right? But after 60, the body's ability to recognize thirst begins to dull. That "I'm thirsty" signal arrives later than it should, or sometimes not at all. The result? Chronic dehydration without even realizing it. You may think you're getting enough fluids because you're not thirsty, but your body might already be struggling. Dehydration in older adults doesn't always show up as dry mouth or strong thirst. Instead, it often appears as fatigue, dizziness, brain fog, or constipation, and most people don't trace it back to water. I once knew a man named Walter, 74, who told me, "I don't feel thirsty much, so I guess I don't need to drink as much anymore." But he was always tired. His blood pressure kept fluctuating, and when he finally started drinking water steadily throughout the day, without waiting for thirst, his energy improved more than he ever expected. As we age, staying hydrated isn't just about responding to signals. It's about creating a steady rhythm. A cup in the morning, another mid-morning, some in the afternoon and evening. A simple routine that supports every part of your body before symptoms ever appear. Think of water as medication for your organs. Your brain, your joints, your kidneys, and even your digestion all rely on it. Don't wait until you're parched or dizzy. If you're 60, 70, or 80, by the time you feel thirsty, you're already behind. Drink on schedule, not just on signal. Number 2, drinking too much water at once. Another common mistake many older adults make is trying to catch up on water all at once. You might realize late in the day that you haven't had enough, so you drink a full glass or 2 right before dinner, or worse, right before bed. But here's the problem: the body, especially after 60, doesn't process large volumes of water the way it used to. When you drink too much in a short time, your kidneys are forced to work harder to manage that sudden load. This can flush out vital electrolytes, put extra pressure on your heart, and lead to discomfort, like bloating, nausea, or a sudden urge to urinate, which can interrupt your sleep or even cause falls if you're rushing to the bathroom at night. There's also something called water intoxication. While it's rare, it becomes more possible in older adults who drink large amounts of water quickly, especially on medications that affect sodium levels. The balance inside your cells matters, and flooding your system with too much water at once can throw that balance off, sometimes dangerously. I remember a woman named Ruth, 78, who prided herself on drinking 6 glasses of water a day, but she drank them all in the afternoon. She often felt full, tired, and even lightheaded, but she couldn't figure out why. When she shifted to smaller amounts, spread throughout the day, everything improved. Her digestion was smoother, her sleep was better, and the lightheadedness disappeared. Think of hydration like breathing. It should be steady and consistent, not rushed, not extreme. A few sips every hour or 2 does more for your body than chugging water when you remember. Your organs appreciate calm, not chaos. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, avoiding water before bed or during the night. Many older adults make the deliberate choice to stop drinking water in the evening, often for a very understandable reason. They want to avoid waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. No one wants broken sleep. No one wants to risk a fall in the dark. So the habit becomes no water after dinner, no water before bed, no water until morning. But here's what most people don't realize: this habit, over time, can quietly increase your risk for much more serious issues. especially heart strain and early morning dehydration, which is a well-known trigger for strokes and cardiac events in older adults. The body loses water overnight, through breathing, through sweat, and through natural metabolic function. And if you go to bed underhydrated, you'll wake up even more depleted. I once spoke with a man named Sam, 82, who was told by a friend, "Stop drinking water at 7 or you'll be up all night." So he did. But after a while, he started waking up dizzy, with dry mouth, and a pounding heart. His doctor eventually traced it to mild, but steady overnight dehydration and recommended a small glass of water before sleep. The difference was immediate. Now, to be clear, you don't need to drink a full glass before bed. And yes, limiting liquids close to bedtime can help reduce bathroom trips. But cutting off water completely in the early evening does more harm than good. Instead, aim for balance. Sip during the evening. Keep a small cup by your bedside if you wake up dry. Train your bladder gradually, not by depriving your body of what it needs. Your organs don't stop working at night. Your brain still uses water. Your heart still pumps. Your kidneys still filter. So give them what they need to do their job safely, even if it's just a few sips after brushing your teeth. Avoiding nighttime water might protect your sleep, but it could be quietly stealing from your health. The key is not to eliminate, it's to moderate and time it wisely. Number 4, replacing water with tea, coffee, or juice. One habit that sneaks into many seniors' routines is substituting plain water with hydrating alternatives like tea, coffee, or fruit juice. These drinks feel like they're doing the job. They're liquids after all. They go down smooth, they offer flavor, and in many cases, they've been part of your routine for decades. But while they might satisfy thirst in the moment, they don't give your body what it actually needs. Let's start with tea and coffee. Both contain caffeine, a natural diuretic. That means they actually cause your body to lose water faster. So while that warm cup may feel comforting, especially in the morning, it can quietly pull more hydration from your system than it adds back in. And over time, that can leave you running on empty, even if you're drinking plenty. Then there's juice. It seems healthier, and in small amounts it can be, but most juices, especially store-bought ones, are packed with sugar. And sugar, when it enters your bloodstream in large amounts, actually pulls water out of your cells. That's why many people feel bloated or even thirstier after a glass of juice than before. I once met a couple, George and Evelyn, both in their 70s, who drank orange juice with every meal. "We thought we were being healthy," George said, "but both were dealing with fluctuating blood sugar, dry skin, and nagging headaches." Once they replaced 2 of their daily juice servings with water, they were stunned by how much better they felt. Clearer heads, fewer cravings, and more energy. Water works differently. It doesn't compete with your organs. It doesn't ask for processing. It simply supports. It helps carry nutrients, remove waste, regulate temperature, and cushion your joints. Nothing else does that as effectively. Not even herbal teas. You can still enjoy your morning coffee. You can still sip on tea or the occasional juice, but don't count them as your hydration. Count them as treats. And make sure your body is still getting what it actually needs. Clean, unflavored, steady water, day in and day out. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, not drinking water during meals. Somewhere along the line, a popular myth took hold that drinking water with meals is bad for digestion. Maybe you've heard it too. It dilutes your stomach acid or it makes digestion weaker. Because of this belief, many older adults have trained themselves to avoid water while eating, entirely pushing their glass aside even when they feel the need for a sip. But here's what actually happens. Drinking small amounts of water with meals helps break down food, softens the texture for easier swallowing, and assists the stomach in processing nutrients. The body is smart. It adjusts the acidity of your digestive juices based on what you eat and drink. A few sips of water will not undo that. It will help your system handle the food more smoothly. In fact, research shows that mild hydration during meals can aid in nutrient absorption. It also helps prevent overeating by creating a gentle sense of fullness, which can support healthy weight management, especially important in later years when metabolism slows. I knew a man named Larry, 75, who always ate his lunch completely dry. "I don't want to weaken my stomach acid," he told me. But he often had trouble swallowing, dealt with recurring heartburn, and felt sluggish after eating. Once he started drinking just half a glass of room temperature water with meals, His digestion noticeably improved. "I feel lighter now," he said, "and I'm not choking on dry food anymore." That's the key, balance. You don't need to down a full glass while eating. But having water on hand, taking small sips, and staying gently hydrated during your meal can actually support digestion, not harm it. Skipping water during meals might feel like a wise choice, especially if it's something you've heard for years. But in most cases, it's a habit that silently works against your body's natural rhythm. Don't be afraid to hydrate while you nourish. It's one of the simplest ways to help your body do what it already knows how to do. Number 6, drinking cold water instead of room temperature. One subtle but impactful habit many seniors hold on to is drinking ice-cold water, especially during warm days or after a walk. It feels refreshing, no doubt. But for older adults, regularly choosing cold water over room temperature might be quietly interfering with digestion, circulation, and even your body's ability to regulate itself efficiently. Here's why: as we age, our digestion naturally slows. Our blood vessels become more sensitive. Our internal thermostat isn't quite as sharp as it used to be. When you introduce very cold water into this more delicate system, your body needs to redirect energy to warm it up. That can delay digestion, constrict blood vessels, and even make you feel sluggish or chilled, not just in your mouth, but throughout your chest and stomach. I once met a woman named Doris, 81, who kept a pitcher of ice water by her recliner every day. She drank it with every meal, but she was often bloated and sometimes even had chills during summer. Her doctor suggested switching to room temperature water for a week. The result: less bloating, more comfort after meals, and a body that didn't feel like it was always fighting the cold. Room temperature water supports your body's processes without shocking the system. It flows more gently through your organs, eases digestion, and keeps blood circulation steady, especially important if you have conditions like arthritis, diabetes, or heart issues. It doesn't mean you can never enjoy cold water again. A cool drink after gardening or walking outdoors is fine in moderation. But when it comes to regular daily hydration, especially with meals or on an empty stomach, room temperature is often the gentler, wiser choice. It's a small shift that most people overlook. But for older adults, that small change can mean fewer digestive issues, steadier energy, and less strain on systems that are already working a bit harder with age. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Farkishin. Final thoughts. By the time we reach our 60s, 70s, or 80s, the way our bodies handle water isn't the same as it was in our younger years. Yet most people don't adjust their hydration habits. They keep doing what they've always done, unaware that these small daily choices could be slowly draining their health and energy. Today, we looked at 6 water habits that are incredibly common among older adults. Waiting until you're thirsty, drinking too much at once, avoiding water at night, relying on flavored drinks, skipping water during meals, and always choosing cold over room temperature. Each one seems harmless on its own, but together they quietly reduce the very thing your body needs most: steady, supportive hydration. The good news? Every one of these habits is easy to change. You don't need expensive equipment, complicated routines, or strict tracking. Just gentle awareness, a shift in timing, a few sips spread throughout the day, a conscious choice to make water your ally instead of an afterthought. So let me ask you, which of these habits surprised you most? Which one do you realize you've been doing for years without thinking? And what small change are you willing to try this week to support your energy, your digestion, and your overall well-being? Thank you for your parents give too much after retirement and end up full of regret. It often starts with good intentions, helping your adult child get on their feet, offering support out of love, or doing what seems normal in a family. But here's the hard truth. Once you retire, your energy, finances, and independence aren't as easily replenished as they once were. And giving away certain parts of your life, no matter how well-meaning, can quietly unravel the peace you worked decades to earn. In this video, we're going to walk through 7 things you should never hand over to your children after retirement. Not because you don't care, but because the cost to your health, autonomy, and future well-being is too high. And most importantly, because protecting these things doesn't make you selfish. It makes you wise. Stay with me through the end, because these 7 things could make the difference between a retirement filled with quiet resentment and one filled with freedom, dignity, and lasting connection. If you've ever wondered where the line should be drawn between support and self-sacrifice, this video is for you. Now let's get started. Number 1, control over your financial decisions. One of the most dangerous things you can quietly hand over after retirement is control over your money. And yet many older adults do it without realizing what they've given up, signing over authority to help a child manage bills, handle paperwork, or just take care of things while you rest. But what begins as a gesture of trust can slowly become a shift in power. And once it slips from your hands, it's incredibly hard to take back. It's not about distrust, it's about protection. Your financial decisions are tied directly to your freedom, where you live, what kind of care you can choose, even how you spend your final years. Giving someone else full control, even someone you love, means handing them the steering wheel to your life. And no matter how close your relationship is, that imbalance can quietly lead to tension, overreach, or even financial abuse. I remember a man named Gerald, 77, who gave his son full access to his accounts because he hated dealing with online banking. At first, it worked fine, but over time, his son began making purchases without asking, small, at first, then larger. I felt like a guest in my own finances, Gerald told me. When he finally spoke up, his son said, "I thought you didn't care." And that hurt even more. The truth is, your money is more than numbers. It represents your effort, your boundaries, and your independence. You have every right to keep control over it, even if you ask for occasional help. And there's a big difference between someone assisting you with a task and someone taking over your decision-making. If you do need help, set clear limits. Use joint accounts sparingly. Keep records. Make sure you understand what's happening and why. And if something feels off, speak up. Your instincts are worth listening to, because after all the years you spent earning, saving, and managing your money, no one, not even your child, should get to decide what you do with it. That decision belongs to you, and keeping it in your hands is one of the strongest ways to protect your future. Number 2, your home or property before it's necessary. Giving your child your house or any property you own before it's truly necessary may seem like a generous move, but it's one of the riskiest decisions an older adult can make. You may think, they'll get it anyway someday, or it'll make things easier now. But what often happens is that you quietly surrender the very thing that keeps you safe, stable, and in control of your life. Your home isn't just a building, it's your anchor. It's the place where you decide who comes in, when you rest, how you live, and when you go. The moment you hand over legal ownership, whether to avoid taxes, simplify inheritance, or help your child financially, you also give up your rights. And depending on the laws in your state, getting them back could be impossible. I once spoke with a woman named Dorothy, 81, who transferred her home to her son after retiring. At the time, he had convinced her it would protect the house from future medical costs. But 2 years later, he divorced, and her house became part of a legal battle she couldn't stop. "It didn't even feel like mine anymore," she said. "I just wanted peace, and I lost my peace trying to do the right thing." Even when relationships are loving and strong, circumstances change. Children lose jobs, get divorced, or run into debt. And if your home is in their name, their problems become yours because your shelter, your equity, and your ability to choose may no longer be protected. This isn't about mistrust. It's about foresight. Keep your name on the deed. Talk to a legal advisor who understands elder law. Explore living trusts or agreements that offer shared planning without giving up ownership. But never feel pressured to transfer your home just because someone else says it's time. You spent your life building that roof over your head, and keeping it under your name doesn't make you ungrateful or selfish. It makes you responsible for your safety, your future, and the independence you've earned. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, unlimited access to your time and energy. After retirement, your time becomes one of your most precious resources. And yet many older parents find themselves giving it away without limits, offering rides, running errands, babysitting, or always being on call for their adult children. What starts as love and support slowly turns into obligation. And before long, your days no longer feel like your own. There's nothing wrong with helping. The problem is when that help becomes expected rather than appreciated. When your availability becomes assumed. When your rest and rhythm are regularly disrupted because saying no feels like a betrayal. That's when the balance shifts and resentment quietly moves in. I remember a woman named Joyce, 76, who loved her daughter dearly and wanted to help with the grandkids. But as the months passed, she was picking them up from school, 4 days a week, missing her book club, skipping her own doctor appointments, and falling asleep before dinner out of pure exhaustion. I retired to enjoy my life, she said, not to relive the same schedule I had at 40. Your energy after 70 is different. It needs protecting. You deserve rest, space, and time to do the things that nourish you without guilt. And while your children may genuinely need help, that doesn't mean your time is a bottomless well. Clear boundaries are not a rejection of family. They're an act of self-respect. It's okay to say, I can help on Tuesdays, but I need the rest of the week for myself. It's okay to reschedule. It's okay to protect your mornings, your quiet afternoons, or your weekend plans. You are not selfish for guarding your time. You are wise for recognizing that you have just as much right to it as anyone else. Because the truth is, when you constantly give your energy away, there's less left for the things that bring you joy, peace, and purpose. And retirement isn't just about filling other people's needs. It's about finally having the freedom to honor your own. Number 4, the role of emotional counselor or fixer. One of the hardest patterns to break as a parent is the instinct to solve your children's emotional problems, even when they're grown. You've spent a lifetime being their anchor, their listener, their shoulder to cry on. But in retirement, constantly absorbing their stress, fear, or disappointment can quietly wear you down. As you age, your emotional reserves become more precious. And when your adult children bring you every crisis, relationship troubles, work drama, financial panic, you may find yourself taking on weight that's no longer yours to carry. It's not that you don't care. It's that your nervous system wasn't built to be a 247 therapist. I once met a man named Howard, 78, whose son called almost daily to vent about his failing business. Howard listened, advised, even lent money. But over time, he began losing sleep, feeling helpless and walking around with a knot in his chest. I started feeling like I was the one drowning, he said, and I wasn't even in the water. That's what can happen when you become your child's emotional emergency room. You absorb every alarm, every fear, every frustration without having a place to put your own. And the more you take in, the more depleted you become. You are allowed to listen without solving. You are allowed to say, that sounds hard. I hope you find a way through it. You are allowed to suggest therapy, support groups, or other resources that don't involve your constant emotional labor. Because in this season of life, your peace isn't a luxury. It's your medicine. And protecting it doesn't mean closing your heart. It means keeping your heart whole so you can offer love without losing yourself. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, direct responsibility for raising grandchildren. Many older adults step into the role of caretaker for their grandchildren with love and willingness. But taking on full or near full responsibility for raising them, especially in your retirement years, can quickly become more than your body, mind, or finances were meant to carry. What often begins as just helping out becomes an unspoken expectation, and suddenly your retirement is no longer your own. Caring for young children is physically demanding. It affects your sleep, your diet, your stress levels, and your ability to keep medical appointments or tend to your own needs. And emotionally, it can feel like being pulled back into a life stage you already lived once, when what you need now is rest, stability, and time to reflect and enjoy. I remember a woman named Linda, 73, who agreed to watch her toddler grandson just for the summer. But the months turned into years, and she found herself once again packing lunches, managing tantrums, and walking the floor at night when he had a cold. I love him with all my heart, she said. But I'm tired. I didn't realize how much I'd lose. The guilt is real. The love is real. But so is the cost. Raising children is a full-time job. And unless you've truly planned for it and chosen it freely, it can quietly erase your space to grieve, to travel, to rest, or even just to think your own thoughts. If your child is in a situation where they need support, explore other solutions first. Can help be shared among family? Can outside childcare be involved, even part-time? Can you offer specific hours or days? Rather than being on call indefinitely, boundaries are not rejection. They're clarity. You've spent decades caring for others. And while grandchildren are a deep joy, you are not required to start all over again in your 70s and 80s. It's okay to say I'll love them, guide them, and support where I can, but I cannot raise them. That truth may be hard, but it may also be the healthiest decision for everyone involved. Number 6, your retirement savings or emergency funds. One of the most generous and most dangerous things you can give your child after retirement is access to the money you've spent your whole life building. Whether it's dipping into your retirement savings to pay off their debt, covering their mortgage just for a while, or handing over cash during one of their emergencies, the effect is the same. You chip away at the very foundation meant to protect you. It's natural to want to help. It feels like love. It feels like support. But here's the part no one talks about. Once that money leaves your account, it rarely comes back. And if your health declines, your expenses rise, or something unexpected happens, the financial cushion you thought would be there may be gone. That's not just risky, that's dangerous. I once spoke with a man named Henry 80 who loaned his son nearly $30,000 over 5 years. It wasn't all at once, just small amounts here and there. First for car repairs, then credit card bills, then a business idea. I thought I was helping, Henry said, but I was emptying the tank I was supposed to retire on. And it's not just the money. It's the emotional toll of wondering whether you'll have enough for your future, the silent anxiety that creeps in every time you visit the pharmacy, the doctor, or open a bill. That stress alone can affect your sleep, your mood, and your quality of life. You are not a bad parent for saying, I need to protect my savings. You are not selfish for drawing a firm line between generosity and survival. Your children can rebuild their finances. You may not have the same window of time or health to rebuild yours. If you truly want to help, set a limit and stick to it. Offer guidance before offering money. Encourage them to explore loans, payment plans, or other support systems. And remember, preserving your financial independence isn't just for you. It ensures you won't have to rely on your children later, something many of them quietly fear just as much. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 7, decision-making power over your life plans. After retirement, your needs, routines, and priorities shift, and you deserve the freedom to make choices that reflect who you are now, not who others think you should be. But one of the most subtle ways older adults lose control is by allowing their adult children to start making decisions for them instead of with them. This doesn't usually happen overnight. It often begins with small suggestions. Why don't you move closer to us? You shouldn't drive anymore. It's time to downsize. And while some of these ideas may be offered with love, when repeated without listening to your needs, they start to feel more like directives than care. I once knew a woman named Elaine, 79, who moved out of her home to live near her daughter's family across the country. It made sense on paper, more help, closer to grandkids, simpler living. But within 6 months, she felt like a stranger in her own life. It wasn't my town, my church, my doctor, or my friends, she said. I thought I was choosing connection, but I lost my place. Your life doesn't have to fit someone else's vision in order to be valid. You are still the author of your story. And just because your children have opinions or even worries, doesn't mean they get to dictate where or how you live, what you do with your time, or how you shape your final decades. That's not to say you shouldn't listen. It's wise to consider feedback, especially about safety or support. But decisions like where to live, what kind of care you want, or how much independence to maintain should ultimately reflect your values. Retirement is not the end of your authority, it's a time to reclaim it. To be thoughtful about your future while standing firmly in the present. Because once you let someone else steer your ship, it becomes harder and harder to turn it back around. Protect your right to decide. Speak clearly. Write things down. Ask questions. And don't be afraid to say, I appreciate your concern, but I know what's right for me. That single sentence can preserve not just your autonomy, but your dignity. Final thoughts. Deshiken. Retirement is a sacred chapter, hard-earned, deeply personal, and meant to be lived on your own terms. But too often, in the name of love or loyalty, older adults give away the very things that protect their peace, their money, their time, their homes, their boundaries. And the cost of that generosity isn't just financial, it's emotional, mental, and deeply personal. If today's video brought anything into focus, let it be this: you are allowed to love your children without sacrificing yourself. You are allowed to set boundaries without guilt. And you are absolutely allowed to protect what you've built, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The 7 things we talked about aren't about cutting off support. They're about offering support in ways that don't erode your foundation. They're about choosing a version of retirement where your needs aren't pushed to the bottom of the list, where your voice still matters, and where your final decades are led not by obligation, but by clarity, courage, and care. So take a moment now to reflect. Which of these 7 areas feels most relevant to your life right now? Which one did you realize you've already been giving away? And which one do you feel ready to protect? Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.